Episode 3.
Episode 3. And we're only on day 4 of our practice.
Really? It's only day 4?
It's only day 4. So, where we left off was...
I had my friend come over, and Justine found out about it after the fact. And yeah, so she was having a lot of feelings, obviously. We talked a little bit. We decided to talk more the next day. And we could take it from there when we reconnected.
Well, that same night, I sat with the feelings. I sat with, just like, okay, we're going to reconnect another time and we'll talk more about it. But as I sat with it, I became more clear and clear because at this time I was writing a lot. Like, I was writing every day about our journey. And I'd come to this, like the feelings in my body, because at this time too, the last 4 or 5 days, since you started being on Meet Me more and streaming, I couldn't get a hold of Jimmy. I would try to call you and I just couldn't get a hold of you. I would try to text you and you wouldn't see my text messages because when you're using the app, it's really hard to notice that things are coming through because it's a full screen. And so I think that was part of the feelings of not safe because of course, I want to connect more when I'm feeling a little anxious. So I was just like, okay, I'm not getting too many responses from Jimmy. I asked for time and space and got a little bit of pushback from that. And now I found out that this woman is in my home, and that was the last place that made me feel safe. And now I felt like that was kind of quote unquote destroyed. That's how I felt at the time. So I'm going to use that word. And then even though we were going to connect another time, I sat up for another hour, writing, and I was on the patio of my friend's family's home, and it was really cute. Looks like a little cafe. And I was writing, and I realized I am feeling in my body that I cannot keep doing this. When you have that feeling in your body where it's just this is a lot, and I think I have to face the fact that it's not about blaming somebody else. I didn't want to blame Jimmy, which is the reason why I was actually really cool finding out that she was here. I was kind of okay, that's part of your exploration. I was trying to respect what boundaries there were. But then I felt maybe that's something you want to do and something I feel that doesn't make me feel safe. So speaking from my experience, I came back with you. I was actually texting you. I was in the middle of texting you something. And I think I don't know how you called me back. I don't know if I had said something and you called me back, but we got back on the phone that same night. And I'd shared with you that I couldn't. Do you want to share what I shared with you that night?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I basically told Jimmy that at the rate that we're practicing and just with the feelings that I had in my body of not feeling safe, I wanted to own that this was not an experience that has felt very good for me, and I just couldn't see myself I was trying to own that I just couldn't do it this way. I couldn't do it this quickly, this fast. My nervous system was so messed up. I was so dysregulated. I couldn't sleep. My heart is racing. I'm not in a good place. And if we're going to continue to do it in this way, which I want to do that for Jimmy, but I know that my body can't handle it. So I had shared with you the text message that I was just writing out, and it basically said that I can't do this. So
I thought she was breaking up with me. That's what it sounded like. But yeah, so that's probably why I got on the phone with you. I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
And it was a little bit of a little breakup energy, but it wasn't you're fucked up, and I really was mindful not to be go and blame, you're fucked up, and I hate the way you're doing this, so I can't do this anymore, so fuck you, I'm leaving. I used to be that way, and I didn't want to come at it this way again. So I learned a lot about how I could hold my boundary and speak very clearly about my experience to you, and that I wasn't blaming you. I wasn't trying to be the way you're doing this is all wrong. I just wanted to own that the way that we're going about it, I can't continue any longer in this manner. So, and the first thing that you said was, do you want to go back to monogamy? And then the first thing that I said right away was no. And it was a very assured no, like that's not what I want. I want us to both be non-monogamous. I want to be non-monogamous. Like I want to be polyamorous, and I wasn't just gonna like for the sake of my feelings say, yeah, let's go back to monogamy. I just felt like that was really out of integrity, you know, and that's not what I was asking from you. So that was like the first time in my body I was just like, okay, it's not about this whole non-monogamy thing. It's the fact that I cannot do non-monogamy in this manner, the way that we are going about it. So I told you to just sit with what I was sharing with you for a couple days, and then when I got back we would just reconnect, we would talk a little bit more, and then we could see if that's how you wanted to proceed with like dating and seeing other people and in this like rhythm, because our rhythm was just totally off. It's like if it was a dance, you were dancing your own solo dance, it felt like, and we were kind of like solo dancing, like apart from each other. So I was like, if that's the rhythm you want to go, you let me know, and then if I have to sit this one out, like I'll sit it out, you know. So I got back from Arizona the next day.
Yeah.
You want to go there? You picked me up.
Well, actually, I'm kind of drawing a blank a little bit as far as
The timeline.
the timeline, because I thought that you talked to me the next day.
It was the same night. So I
Okay.
talked to you that same night, and then you
And then
thought
the next day, so you came back the next day.
I
Oh,
got
that's
back-
right, you came back the next
I
day.
got back the next day, and you're like, wait, so do I pick you up? Do I like, am I
Yeah.
supposed to still pick you up? Because the plan was that Jimmy was going to pick me
But
up.
we did talk on the phone before we met up, though, right?
A little bit. I was at Nancy's place, and I just stayed there. Yeah.
Okay. So okay, I kind of remember now. So she came back the next morning, but we spent the whole day apart, and
So you were working, I think.
I kind of was I working? I kind of don't remember, but I remember we spent. That's right. Yeah, we spent the day apart, and then I picked you up after work, and we picked up. We kind of picked up from there. We tried to, anyways. We went to a restaurant to eat, and
Yeah, we had plans to go on a date.
and we were trying to go on a date, but it was really tough for Justine.
Because, yeah, I was.
She was going through a lot, and I remember this holding her while she was crying at the restaurant, and yeah, we just sat with that and the feelings of what she was going through. Um, it wasn't easy. It definitely took a lot of from both of us. More so from her because she was the one experiencing the other side of things while I was, going through it. And I guess like I did need a lot of support at the time, actually, going through what I was going through because it was so new to me, and I didn't even know a lot of things about myself until I started going through it. And it was tough because just anybody seeing from the outside, it just seemed like I was having a jolly old time and I'm just doing all this stuff to Justine and she's having a shitty time. I admit I was having a good time, but I actually was going through a lot myself because I wasn't used to all of this that was happening. I wasn't used to having to maintain so many different, let's just say, conversations before even relationships. And I was having a hard time eating, sleeping myself, and it wasn't because of what she was going through. It was a different thing. It was just I was anxious. I was this my body would tell me I'm hungry, but when I would sit down, I couldn't taste my food. It was just so much. It was just very overwhelming. Yeah, it was very overwhelming, overstimulating. I went from not really talking to very many women at all to a bunch all at once, and it took a lot out of me as well. But yeah, once we reconnected, though, I we were able to share more of what was going on. I did share with her what I did with my friend that I invited over, and she asked me if we had sex, and I didn't hesitate at all and said yes. And of course we had to kind of take a moment from there as well. um, in my mind, I before she even left to Arizona, I was kind of talking to her about I want my own autonomy. I want to be able to do whatever I want as long as it's within my own integrity. If it's integral to myself, then I should be able to do it, whether it aligns with what you want.
Yeah.
And So in my mind, it's like I should be able to do whatever I want. I'm not doing anything wrong by doing what I want and being honest about what I'm doing and promptly disclosing to her what I do and without her even asking me. Um, some things I don't disclose right away and I wait for her to ask because it's kind of that learning experience, the growing pains we're going through of like, what do we share? When do we share it? How do we share it? Like, is it a good time now? Is it a good time later? It's usually always a bad time almost. With a lot of the things that we share, there's not really ever a good time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so when I shared with you after you asked me if I had sex with her and I said yes, how did you feel?
Mm. Um, Betrayed and deceived because, like, on one hand, I already didn't know. So it was just like a double whammy, it felt like, because on one hand, I didn't know she was at the house. I was already processing that, and I was already way too in the red. I think at that point, I was already red like the first couple days, like really in the red the first couple days. Then, we've worked our way to day 4, and I'm still going through all of those things. I'm still feeling like you're gonna date 5 people. There's like, even if some fell off, you're gonna date 5 people. I was just dealing with a lot of new stuff, and it takes me like a week to like integrate, 2 weeks to integrate some things, and then finding out that, like, when she was at the house, which I was already like, oh, I came to you and said, if we're going at this rate, I don't know that I can, like, I don't know that I can continue at this rate, right? And so I was already kind of feeling like, I was feeling hopeful that we could establish a creative relationship, like a relationship in which maybe we co-parent, maybe we, like, I just kind of take a step back, and like I feel like that I could cope with what was going on a little bit more. Like, I just needed space and time again to like have my own space and be apart from, and let you do what you needed to do. Kind of like Kalila and Bobby Lee on Tiger Belly, where he's just like, I want to fuck like 100 people before I get back
Back
with
with
you,
you.
and she's just kind of she's willing to get back with him. And so for me, it was just kind of like, I knew that we were always going to be in each other's lives. Like, I could envision that, and it wasn't like this horrible breakup thing that I was envisioning. It was just more like, I want you to, like, it was like so many weird feelings. It's like I wanted you to thrive, and I wanted you to explore, and I wanted you to experience, and I didn't want to get in the way of that. So if that meant that, and you were really adamant about like having your your autonomy, your own experience, as long as it's integral to you. And that's why I came at you with like, if this feels integral to you, then I want to know that, and I have to face that what's integral for you right now, or integral for you right now, isn't for me in this moment. And we just have to face that. So that's where I was coming from, and it felt very loving. I was really proud of myself for communicating in that way, where it wasn't out of like, fuck you. um so we had dinner, and then we were sitting in the truck, and I was having such a hard time. So, and I didn't even know at this point that Jimmy had sex with this woman. um but there was something in my gut that said, you need to ask him. So I asked him, did you guys do stuff? And he said, yeah. And I said, what did you guys do? And he said, we had sex. And that like really broke me, because I felt broken already. And so I needed to walk away for a little while, and I was crying, and um, I had already felt like everything that I shared with you, that I was going through like such a hard time with, like, I felt like you weren't listening. I felt like I've been crying out for help from my best friend, who, at the time you couldn't support me because you were going through your own stuff. Um, but I just felt like I was crying out to my best friend, and like it wasn't really considered. But it's like it all happened in the same night. It's not like you were doing it. I don't feel like you were doing it intentionally to hurt me. It just happened, and you didn't find the good time. There's no good or bad time. It's just, you just have to make the time to tell somebody something. So yeah, at the time it just wasn't. There was no good time to tell me, and so when I found out, yeah, I was really pissed. I was really pissed, and I think I was more sad. Um, I was more sad because I was just like, I have already been going through mourning and grieving and loss, and like, and I was doing this all, like, I felt like I was doing it alone, and I kind of was. Um, I guess no, I wasn't alone, but it felt lonely. I think there's a difference. I felt very lonely. And so this really this made me feel very distant from you. And of course, I wanted to protect my heart. And we were supposed to go pick up the girls that night from my parents' house because they were staying at my parents' while I was in Arizona. Um,
And we ended up just leaving there for another night.
we left them for another night so that we can talk. And yeah, we talked like all night, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a few nights, or that was quite a night.
That was quite a night. And then, like at this point, it's still only day four. And yeah, it's still only day four. And then we ended up talking, and all the days started to kind of just like get really
It
confusing
just seemed like one long day.
because, yeah, because I had not been sleeping. Um, I had not been sleeping, and so I didn't even know what day it was. Yeah. Yeah. So, that very same day, though, I think this is something that before we went to dinner, that very same day, I actually went on Meet Me. I had been on Meet Me like here and there, but I'm like copying. So I learn a lot through Jimmy. Um, I think one of the things that I'm like really grateful for is kind of watching Jimmy, and his kind of like relentlessness when it comes to things because I'm very fearful when it comes to action. And so I typically won't take action on things that I'm just afraid or don't know it's like a sure shot. So if it's not a sure shot, I typically won't make the move. And I think I had been learning from you a lot. And I started to see where I could use Meet Me in a different way. So that same day that I was at my friend's house before you picked me up, I was on Meet Me and you came into my live and I was actually having like I called it a mental health day. And I was just having people, I was talking about how, because I was processing and still going through things and kind of in good spirits still, but I was talking about like mental health with men. And then I had somebody come on my live, um, who, yeah, like is somebody that I met and was asking for my number. But I was very guarded and I was just like, I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm not trying to date men. I just wanted to have a conversation and hopefully like help people on on this dating app, even though, yeah, I that was my intention at the time. I had no intention at the time. Um, so I just wanted to bring that up for
Yeah, and I
context.
remember I logged in, I did see her, and I was like, oh, that's cool. She's in here and she's helping people. That's dope.
Yeah,
And I just, you know, I think I was working.
you were working.
I think I was working, and I would stream at work sometimes, and yeah, I saw that she was streaming, so I jumped in and I just said hi, and then I just left.
Yeah,
But yeah, but yeah, I think that's a good point to like start wrapping up at least this
this
portion of
portion.
it.
Yeah,
But yeah, so again, you're gonna be if you're gonna do what we're doing or try to do what we're doing, going from monogamy to non-monogamy, again, like it's okay if you fuck up. I mean, I know
or
people are
feel
gonna,
fucked up.
like people are gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. Your partner's gonna get hurt. The people who don't know about this shit and are learning about it will might feel weird and get hurt as well. Like that's just kind of what it is. But we're trying to help people not feel shame around being yourself.
Yeah, as you come out to like your family and your friends, maybe not your family right away, but to your friends, and they find out that you're on this journey, like I have a lot of gratitude for the people who have been on this journey with us, who show support in whatever capacity and way that they can. Um, but it is really challenging because even for your friends, they might feel like the image that they have of me and Jimmy, for example, like what they believe is going to happen, like because it's just like watching a movie.
Yeah.
You want people to get married and then have the kids and then have a really good life and then make good finances and then all these things. And when we started practicing this, I think it also is going to sometimes break or shatter that image for
Yeah,
people.
definitely. And as she reaches out for support to her friends or family, I don't doubt at all in my mind that sometimes there's judgment against me, like, oh, what a fucking asshole, what a dick, I can't believe he did that kind of thing. And that's not even with Justine. She doesn't talk shit about me. The way she talks, it's not even like that. She just says it how it is. But again, people can take that like the wrong way. You know how she's trying to communicate it. they can take it as, and she's complaining about what I'm doing. And I mean, I know she's not necessarily complaining about it. It's like she's talking about how she's feeling
Yeah.
based on how she's responding to what I'm doing, and that's not the same thing. But yeah, so just know, like, shit's gonna get kind of weird sometimes. You're gonna hurt each other, you're gonna get jealous, you're gonna get mad. There's a lot of feelings, and sometimes they happen all at the same time. Like, Justine was happy for me while she's mad and sad and grieving, but at the same time she was excited for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
It's
And
all confusing. And if you're curious about how somebody even gets there, like if you're just like, oh, that's not me, I could never come from a loving space. Like,
that's what we said too.
yeah, like we thought that we couldn't be here, and like we are here now, and we're sharing this journey with you. And like, you know, just even sharing like what I shared with Jimmy when it was like that breakup energy, but I wasn't necessarily breaking up to be like, fuck you, to get a reaction from him, to want me back, and then to take me back. It was like, it was really, I was operating from love. And if you're wondering how to do that, like you can, or if you have any questions about that, we would love to get like your feedback, your email. Like you can email us at the progressive couple pod at gmail.com. And you can share.
We're also on Instagram. We're also on YouTube now. It's all the same, the Progressive Couple.
Yeah.
So just look us up. You'll find us.
Yeah, email us and like let us know if you have questions for yourself. Like, how do you even get this started? We would love to support you through that, because a lot of people that I've heard that are going through relationship stuff, they're usually like, how can I communicate in a loving way? Like, how do I operate from love when I'm so angry, right? And that's what we're sharing with you here. It's like, I was angry, I was sad, I was grieving, I was feeling like I've lost the thing that I was like, that I was cherishing, and that was so precious to me, was our relationship. That's how I even got started in relationship work, was because I was trying to like help our relationship get better. And then it got to this place, and I was still in the idea of like monogamy at the time. And then when it turned into and shifted to non-monogamy, how do you maintain it when now we're like dealing with so many other people, and feeling jealousy and feeling like all these weird feelings, and how do you maintain that love? So if you have questions about that, like me and Jimmy are supporting people through that as well. But you can always email us, like I said, the progressivecouplepod at gmail.com.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in and watching our, what is this, third episode?
Mm-hmm.
We have more. We're going to share more in the next one. We'll talk about what Justine does next. And I actually start slowing down a little bit, so Justine starts kind of taking over the, I guess,
The practice.
Yeah, she takes over the steering wheel and she starts driving, so.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys. Love you.